This is Mike Lauer and Larry Tabak from NIH. Do you hear us?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Dr. Lauer.
Okay. So,
Okay.
hi everybody. So for two reasons, the good news is I have Dr. Mike Lauer with me, who's the head of the extramural program, as you know, here at NIH. And so really delighted to be able to chat with all of you this afternoon. I mean, obviously we're deeply concerned for the health and safety of everybody involved in NIH research. And of course, we know there are profound effects already on the biomedical research enterprise in areas that are affected most adversely. And so we really appreciate this opportunity to try and speak virtually with all of you. Apologize for the little glitches here at the beginning, but it is good to be able to do this. I thought maybe what we could use the time for is just spend some time, and I'm going to ask Dr. Lauer to do this because he's the expert, and just sort of give the high-level overview of the things that are already being done. And then I guess if you're set up with to accommodate questions, or you already have questions, we'll certainly be willing to try and do that. Does that work for you?
Yes, and we can do questions both in the chats as well as the unmute once you're ready. We'll try to unmute everyone and do it that way. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let me turn this to Dr. Mike Lauer to give you just a quick overview of things.
Okay, thank you. So again, I just want to echo what Dr. Tabak said, that we're very concerned about what's going on, and we wish all of you well. And let me just go over a little bit about what we're doing. So first of all, for those of you who are familiar with the Open Mic blog, we put out a blog last Friday afternoon in which we talked about resources and information that's available to extramural researchers related to the COVID-19 epidemic. And on there is a link to a dedicated web page that we have set up on the grants.nih.gov, which provides information for extramural researchers. So if you go to grants.nih.gov, you'll see in huge letters COVID-19. If you click on that, that will take you to the dedicated web page. There are a number of, on that web page, you'll see information about various guide notices that we've put out. I believe we put out 4 so far. One relates to late applications and our recognition that applications will be coming in late, and we will, to the very best that we possibly can, we will accept them. The second is a more detailed guide notice on a whole variety of administrative flexibilities. This includes delayed reports, rebudgeting, project extensions, coverage of salaries, which we know has been a big issue, refunds of travel costs and canceled registration fees, and a variety of other administrative flexibilities. A third item deals with peer review. We are continuing peer review throughout this time. We have switched all our meetings to virtual format. So far, that seems to be working fairly well. We have a bunch of meetings scheduled between now and next month. Literally just an hour or two ago, we put out another guide notice on studies that involve clinical trials in human subjects. We urge you to work with your IRBs. We understand that a number of facilities are shutting down or dramatically decreasing their contact with research participants. And we have in there information about the kinds of problems that we recognize you're having, as well as a number of new allowances and flexibilities which we are going to incorporate. And then finally, I just want to mention that for animal care, our Office of Laboratory Animal Welfare is going to be doing a webinar this week on animal care during a time of pandemics. The general theme here is that we are going to approach this in as flexible and accommodating a way as possible. We will make it possible. We recognize that there will be unanticipated costs, and we will make it possible for you to apply for administrative supplements to cover those costs. The main point here is that we want to do what's best to enable the research to go forward to, in a flexible way, deal with the many disruptions that you're going to face.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Look, we all understand that each circumstance is going to be a somewhat unique one, and that's why the flexibilities are going to be really important. So with that sort of as the sort of introductory preamble and framework, we could now entertain questions, please.
Okay, so if anyone has questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the questions box, or we'll also give an opportunity for you to unmute yourself. I'll start with a question that we received via text, which is, could you provide more information about the animal care webinar?
Yes, so it is on the it's on the cover page of the OLA website, and I'll tell you in just one second here. This is going to be on March the 19th. March the 19th at 1 p.m. And if you go to the Office of Laboratory Animal Welfare or OLA website, you'll see it right there, and there's quite a bit of information about how to enroll and how to participate.
Okay. Next question, please.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and allow people to unmute. Oh, we have a question first, which is, are you encouraging universities to mandate temporary termination of laboratory research activities?
So that is the purview of the university, and we would not be in a position to do that. Obviously, as Dr. Lauer indicated, we're going to be as flexible as possible. We understand that that will delay work. We understand that that will mean that additional costs will be incurred. But we don't believe that we should be in the position of even recommending to universities that they suspend work. Now, again, I am aware that some universities have done that, and we will work with them just as we're going to work with everybody else, but no, we would not be in a position to recommend that.
I have a question.
Okay.
So it's a follow on to that, and I'm looking at your late applications information on the website, and it says that we must submit a cover letter with enough detail to say, how long the closure was. Let's call it a full closure, so that you get that many days to be late in submitting your application. Here at USF, we're just partially closing things down, so we're saying only the most essential experiments like cell culture or feeding the animals or mating the animals can be done, and everybody else has to work from home. So that's a partial closure. So how do you frame that in terms of how many days extra the PI gets to submit a grant?
Okay, so the way the language that we wrote in there was deliberately broad. So it will say that applications may come late because of closure or other circumstances that affect the ability to submit applications in a timely way. I don't remember the exact language, but we wrote it in a deliberately broad fashion. So that this is not like a snowstorm or a hurricane where we're tying it exactly to the number of days that an institution is closed down. So all that's necessary is a brief cover letter. It doesn't really need to say very much, but it could say that because of XYZ circumstances, I am XYZ late in submitting the application. And my guess is that 99% of these we're going to take.
Okay.
All right, I'm not sure I got the right website then, because that language doesn't seem as broad on the website that I ended up on. Could you repeat the right website for us one more time?
Okay, just one second. Okay, so I'm just going to read straight from the guide notice. When delays occur because the applicant or recipient organization is officially closed or unable to submit grant applications due to the effects of COVID-19, the NIH will consider applications late on a case-by-case basis in accordance with the NIH grants policy statement. So the key phrase there is, or unable to submit grant applications due to the effects of COVID-19. So all you need to do is describe, because of COVID-19, we weren't able to come to work. We were forced to work part-time because of school closures. Whatever is appropriate, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Okay, great. Next question, please.
Thank you. And if you do have an audio question, please just state your name first. We're going to go ahead and move to a couple of different text questions that we received. One is, should we speak to a program officer before or after IRB about study changes?
I would say that the IRB takes priority, and then you could then speak with the program officer.
Okay, thank
Next
you.
question, please.
Our next question is, how does a PI go about obtaining permission for a late submission and obtain a new due date?
You don't need to obtain permission. You just submit it late, along with a cover letter explaining why the application is late.
And again, we're going to be extremely flexible about this. And I think, as Dr. Lauer indicated, the hit rate's going to be about 99%. We're going to be very flexible.
And it's explicitly in the guide notice. It says here, institutions need not request advance permission to submit late due to this declared emergency.
Next question, please.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you. Next question, can you please address RPPRs and how this will be accepted past the deadline?
We will accept RPPRs late, as well as all other kinds of reports, final RPPRs, financial reports, closeout reports. That's not a problem, and that's specifically addressed in the flexibilities guide notice, as well as in our FAQs.
Next question, please.
Great. Thank you. Yep. Next question is, will other funding organizations such as PCORI or CDC follow your guidelines and accommodations?
We can't speak to what other organizations are going to be doing.
Okay. The next question is, do temporary changes require updates in ClinicalTrialsgov?
Okay, that's a great question that we can follow up on.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up on it.
Yeah.
We good. It was a good question. We need to follow up on it. Thank you. Next question,
Great.
please.
Okay. The next question, I guess maybe you already addressed this, summarizing the overall plan for accepting delayed RPPRs, grant applications, FFRs, etc. Okay. Next question is, could you share more information about applying for supplementals? How soon do you think those will be available, or should this be done on a case-by-case basis?
I think it's going to be a case-by-case, and I think it's premature to really figure out, right now when that will all start. I think we need to get through the immediate set of challenges before, we can put something like that in place.
Okay. Next question, is participation in the OLA webinar restricted, or can anyone participate?
In the OLA webinar, I will have to check. You do have to register. That I do know, but that's online.
So presumably there's some maximum number
that
can be accommodated, hence the need to register.
Yeah.
Right. Next,
okay,
please.
Thank you. The next question says, for grant deadlines, while the intent is to submit on time, if there are extenuating circumstances that preclude on-time submission, what needs to be documented with a late submission to ensure they will be accepted? And maybe you already
all we need is a cover letter with a reasonably cogent explanation of what's going on.
Okay. Will there be a pre-approval for late applications?
No.
No, it's going to be done on a case-by-case, and it's rolling.
Okay.
But again, there'll be extreme stability.
Go ahead.
Next
I'm sorry. Oh, you're done? Okay. Can you speak more about the administrative supplements that will be available? Who will be able to apply for these, when, and for how much?
So I think it's premature to discuss any specifics yet. I think we want to get through the immediate challenges, and then when things begin to return to normalcy, we can begin to work through what I'm sure are, important details that are uppermost in people's minds. But, we're not at a point where we have started thinking about that yet.
Okay. We appreciate the NIH's forward thinking with respect to flexibilities. With respect to research misconduct cases that are underway, can we expect flexibilities will also be extended vis-a-vis expected timeframes?
Yes. Yes, for all administrative matters.
Okay. What if we are not closed, but our subcontractor is closed? Does this fall under a quote, unable to submit due to COVID-19 exception?
Yes, if that's the reason why you're unable to submit, because you need some vital piece of information from your subcontractor, and you're not able to get it, and therefore you're not able to submit the application on time, then just tell us that, and we'll proceed from there.
Thank you. Okay. Next is, do you anticipate delayed NOAs?
Do we anticipate delayed NOAs? That's a good question. I will say that at NIH, just like in much of the rest of the country, many of us, if not most of us, are teleworking, but nonetheless, we are open for business. And so our hope is that we'll be able to process applications as quickly as we can. But I think only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
Obviously, for different reasons, we're facing some of the same challenges that you all are in the academic and research community at large. And so we will have some delay as well. So hopefully people will bear with us, but the intent, we hope, is clear.
Thank you. And along those same lines, and we got another question wondering if there are any plans or potential recommendations for standing, maybe weekly webinars during the time to discuss this. It might be helpful to see how NIH research is supporting COVID-19 response, and just a comment that could be a helpful strategy to stay connected.
Yeah, we certainly can work through setting up a regular check-in with the general community. And we just have to work through the logistics, which, as you appreciate, can be a little challenging, but we will figure out how best to do this. And, so yes, we will do that.
Absolutely, thank you. Next question says, apart from the open mic piece, is this new resource site being pushed out to current grantees?
Yeah, so we're going to, you know how we put out every month the NIH Extramural Nexus? It goes out to our listserv of, I believe, about 400,000, and then that in turn will then lead people to our website. We're probably going to push that out tomorrow. Normally we push it out at the beginning of the month, but given the public health emergency, we're going to push it out sooner. So our plan is to push that out tomorrow so that it will be more or less in the faces of hundreds of thousands of people.
Great, okay. Next question is, if subject activities are delayed, what will be the process and timing for seeking project extension?
So the way to do that, we anticipate that that's going to happen, and that may happen reasonably often. So what we ask is that the researchers should be in touch with our program officers to let them know what's going on, and they will then help guide them through the process. We also understand that there may be unobligated balances because money isn't being spent for a period of time, and we will allow carryovers without a need for pre-approval.
Great, thank you. The next question comes from the University of Washington. They said the diversion of certain research faculty staff from research lab work to assisting with increased COVID-19 testing in their clinical lab. They're wondering the allowability of charges for salary and benefits to NIH grants when those research faculty had committed effort to grants but are now being diverted to COVID-19 testing.
Okay, so we do have some language about salary, and if as a general rule of thumb, an institution has as a policy that salary continues to be paid, even if they're not able to do the work that they're supposed to be doing, NIH will cover salary. But that specific situation, we'll have to look into that.
But that's an important question. Thank you for raising it. I have to apologize. I need to leave the call now because I have another call that I have to be on. And actually, it's in service of the extramural community. So you'll be glad that I'm doing that. Dr. Lauer is able to stay a little bit longer if there is interest at your end. Again, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. It's very important for us to hear. And we've gotten some very important questions that we now know we need to research. And again, I'll turn it back to Dr. Lauer, who fortunately can stay for a few more minutes. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tabak. Okay, Dr. Lauer, I'll just continue, try to get through as many of these as we can so we can help to answer all the questions. Another one was, can you please repeat the question about the update on the NIH site? Okay, I'll follow up with that one separately.
Wait, say it again?
I'll follow up with that person separately. I'll just go to the next question. Will the NIH be getting emergency funds from the administration to support research?
We have received a supplemental specifically for COVID research. And that money is going to be going to NIAID, and then to a lesser extent, some money will be going to NIEHS. That was part of the $8.3 billion supplemental bill that was passed a week or two ago. Exactly how that money is going to be spent is not yet clear. That's something that that we're working on. I would also point out along those lines that already earlier in February, we put out a notice of special interest for competitive revisions for COVID-19 related research. So this is for people who already have funded grants. They will have an opportunity to get additional money to conduct research that is specifically related to COVID-19. And that the nature of the kinds of research that we're looking for and the application processes are in that announcement.
Thank you. Okay. Next question is, for grants that are collaborative agreements, if there are delays in meeting milestones because of these circumstances, how should they address that?
So I presume you mean cooperative agreements. And because the very nature of a cooperative agreement is that the researchers are working closely with NIH staff. NIH staff will be well aware of the problems and the delays, and they'll work with you on dealing with those.
Thank you. Are there criteria for deciding when the first wave of disruption is over?
That's a great question, and I think to quote Tony Fauci, we're dealing with a fog of war issue here. This is still quite early on, and I think we might have a better sense about that in a week or two.
Great, thank you. Next question. When can hospitals and researchers apply for new funding opportunities that come out of the first supplemental?
So what I would say is please stay tuned to the NIH guide. As I mentioned, there's a notice of special interest already out on the streets that NIAID and NIGMS are offering for COVID-19 related research. And if your researchers haven't looked at that already, they should, because there are funding opportunities that are available there. I presume that most of you already subscribe to the NIH guide, but if you don't, this is a good opportunity to do that. And as soon as the announcements are posted, they're ready for you to we're looking forward to getting some real good applications.
Thank you. And I think you've maybe already addressed this for the most part, but we'll just clarify here. Any changes or, sorry, address charging salaries for grant research staff working remotely. If they're unable to continue working on their project, we would plan to continue that if that's what you said earlier, correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay. How much flexibility will be allowed regarding semi-annual IACC inspections of Vivaria? Can we install internal flexibility in how we conduct inspections, especially if PPE that's normally required to enter a room is unavailable?
Okay, that's a good question. And I know that OLAW is working on putting together their own guide notice on issues that are specifically related to animal research. But I'm going to write this down, and if that's not going to be answered, I think it's going to be actually, but if it's not, we'll follow up on that, and we'll add that to our FAQs.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. Is there anticipation that NIH will issue stop travel orders?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. What if a project requires an immediate change that will affect the trajectory of the project? Should such changes be approved by a program manager before being made?
Wait, say it again. So a project requires immediate changes
that affect the trajectory of the project. Should the changes be approved by the program manager beforehand?
Well, I would say we're trying to work in as reasonable a way as possible. So first of all, if you need to make any changes for the sake of safety, that takes top priority. Presumably, and this relates to a question that we got earlier, the first administrative authority that you would work with would be your IRB. So if you need to make immediate changes because of safety concerns, you do what you need to do, and you work with your IRB as appropriate. And then, yes, please get in contact with your program official as quickly as you possibly can. But if something absolutely needs to be done, particularly if it needs to be done for safety purposes, please don't let administrative concerns at the agency get in the way of doing what's right for public health and for patient safety.
Thank you, and I think that answers the next question as well, so I'll keep moving on. If there are webinars as weekly updates, can this be broadly circulated to the NIH research community? Yes, we will let you guys know. Is there any guidance on how to handle project-related infections, such as researcher to subject? Will these issues be handled primarily through general counsel of the institution covering IRB?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Are there special capacities of the science and research community that could be used to be helpful in addition to social isolation and mitigation? How can we help you and the NIH most in light of the public health emergency?
Well, I would say what's most important, that's a great question. What's most important to us is that patients, research participants, and researchers should be safe. That concerns about administrative requirements and concerns about money should take second place to concerns about safety and participant well-being. That you follow the guidance of your public health authorities, of the CDC, and of your institutional leaders. We are well aware of what a number of institutions are doing around the country, and I have to say, I personally have been very impressed with how a number of institutions have gone about dealing with a crisis situation in a thoughtful and comprehensive manner. Now, there are, of course, research opportunities here. What's going to ultimately solve the coronavirus problem is science. It's going to be through science that we're going to figure out how to conquer this virus. We already notice, just a dramatic amount of creativity scientific thought. We see that in articles that are being published in journals, many preprints that are being posted, some of which are quite fascinating and which are generating quite a bit of discussion here. And so we hope, on the one hand, we deal with the disruptions, and we deal with the disruptions in as effective a way as possible. But on the other hand, this is an opportunity for scientific research to shine, to show what it can do. And it is, there's no question that it's only going to be through scientific research that we're going to get on top of this problem. Just as has been the case with previous epidemics. I was a medical resident at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, and I remember watching young people. In many cases, these were people who are at that time my age, who were dying in front of me, and there was nothing that we could do, or very little that we could do. And it was amazing to watch the progress of research over a relatively short period of time, just a few years. We were able to get to a point where we were able to convert this 100% devastating fatal disease into a chronic condition. Now we still have a long ways to go. This particular problem is not yet licked, but it was through science, through the work of your researchers here in the United States and all over the world, that we were able to get to solve this problem, and we look forward to something quite similar here. I have time for one more question, and then I've got to run off to something else.
Okay, we will go ahead and go with the last question, and maybe we can follow up later with other ones. Sorry if we hadn't gotten to yours yet, but last question is, has the NIH designated an IRB of record for COVID studies, and or will 45 CFR 46.114 be suspended for multi-center COVID research?
I don't know the answer to that, so we'll look
Okay.
into it.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we really appreciate your time, and we'll continue to keep lines of communication open. If we didn't get to your question, we will have plans to follow up with you or figure out a way to get your questions over to the NIH. So we'd like to thank Dr. Lauer and Dr. Tabak for joining us today, and we hope to chat and check in soon. So thank you very much, Dr. Lauer.
And, everybody, please take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, this worked well.